One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have all made it, especially down here in the South where we got hammered last night. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. Let's get it. Look who we got with us this morning. Let's see if I can now try not to wake her up too much. Let me see. Boom. Yeah, she's awake. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we got a fun one for you guys this morning, obviously. Every single Monday morning, we have a lot to catch up on. We got to catch up on what happened Saturday and Sunday, and then, of course, bring us to date right this second. So we're looking at Iran war update as well as Trump and Vance signing, which is happening today. And then winter weather alert and top stories, man. So before we get all into it, let's go ahead and give you guys a chronological timeline of what we're looking at here. U.S. sends more Marines to the Middle East. I believe it was a number of something like 2,500 more Marines have been sent to the Middle East now. Iran strikes U.S. Embassy compound after U.S. conducts large-scale attack. It says here, 2 Iraqi security officials say a missile struck a helipad inside the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad. This comes after U.S. forces executed a large-scale precision strike on Karg Island, Iran. The strike destroyed naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, and multiple other military sites. Okay, so then we also have Iran war. U.S., other countries sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz, and that is for the quote-unquote, if necessary and need to, security detailed escort through the Strait of Hormuz. Then we have 13 U.S. service members dead in Operation Epic Fury. CENTCOM says, man, that's terrible. Says all 6 crew members of a KC-135 refueling aircraft that crashed while supporting operations against Iran are dead, the U.S. said on Friday, which we reported, by the way. Said the crash in western Iraq on Thursday followed an unspecified incident involving 2 aircraft in, quote, friendly airspace, and the other plane landed safely. The crash brings the U.S. toll in Operation Epic Fury to 13 service members, with 7 others killed in combat. About 140 U.S. service members have been injured, including 8 severely, the Pentagon said earlier this week. So it looks like we got a lot of new details here. And then DHS shutdown continues amid multiple terror attacks, travel delays. Now, if you guys haven't seen on social media, for sure, on social media, it's kind of actually insane the amount of lines that are building up behind, TSA at airports. I mean, Dallas is one of the worst right now. I mean, it is no doubt you're going to be outside all day, probably 12, 13, 14, 15 hours before you even get in properly. They're wrapped around the airport like 4 times. It's not good. It's not a good look. What to expect as Trump urges warships to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. So, yeah, of course, we're going to be talking a lot about the Strait this morning. Middle East conflict, U.S. military targets naval threats. Well, I think that is something that is not new to us. We already knew that was going to happen. And then President Trump takes questions amid Iran conflict just an hour ago, by the way. And he's up there with in Air Force One. So it's going to be shitty audio like we always know it to be. And then last but not least, we have Israel strikes Iran space compound, and that just happened 50 minutes ago. It says Israel Defense Forces say it destroyed an Iranian space compound on Monday. IDF shared new photos of the Iranian Space Agency compound. Mark Chandler joins in for the discussion. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, what a wild morning we already going to be having here. Real quick, I got to give a special shout out to Naomi. She dropped in the 5 spot, the very first donation of the stream, sending love to my baby Lucy, of course. Yes, of course. And then when Dad starts speaking, it's a little too loud for her, so she runs away and goes under the bed or whatever. But thank you for making it rain in the chat and starting it off. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. I'm very honored to be able to do this Monday through Friday. Thank you guys for, hanging out with us. Let's go ahead and do our call to actions real quick, and then we're going to basically get right into this. Make sure you guys hit the like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. Hit the subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and then, of course, members only on Saturday morning. It's a great time. Speaking of members, though, please consider becoming a member, starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to have these lights on as well as be on these airwaves. So thank you guys for becoming members and then staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. We also have a Discord server for all of you legends. Make sure you guys go into the video description down below, and that's where the invite link for the Discord is. We have like 95% of the IWF in there. Now we need 100%. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, by the way, we have these platforms that are going to be scrolling around the screen. You guys can chime in at any time. I'll read out your donations that come that way, just like a super chat, and I get to have 100% of the proceeds. Feels ultra good. All right, great to see everyone in the chat, man. We're going to have to pretty much get right into this. I can't say hi to everybody. I'm super sorry about that. We got Steve Posey. We got Carney Vanguard as well as Huggy. Good morning to you guys. We got Steve Easy in the building. We got Dylan Patterson, my man. And then we got Sick Bastard. Thank you for the raid this morning, my man. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning. We got Two Wheel Jesus as well. And Steve Posey says 5,000, Mike. And I'm guessing that you're going to be referring to the Marines that have been deployed over there in the Middle East. That's what I think that you're talking about right there. We got Brother So Loud. Great to see you in the chat, man. We got Jimmy Mack as well as Gary. Good morning to you guys. And we got Pablo, my man, as well. We got Tiffany as well as Liquored Up with Poncho. Good morning, guys. Thank you all for being here. We're doing our absolute best to say hi to people, but we got to get right into this. We got Joseph up there in Canada, our favorite snow Mexican, by the way. Great to see you as well. Double tap that screen, Steve Easy says. That's facts. We got Pops in the building as well, saying driving in the snow headed to the hospital. Man, much love, honor, respect to you and Mountain Woman, man. Make sure you let her know that we love her and are thinking about her always. We got Seymour Cannabis as well. We got Evie Daily on the Facebook side of things. Good morning to you. Great to see you guys in the chat. Great to see you guys. All right, so we got 117 people in here right this second. Make sure you guys double tap that screen and hit that like button. All right, let's get into the first story here. Let's bring that up here. And this is U.S. sends more Marines to the Middle East.
You're watching live now. I'm Austin Westfall, looking at some of the videos that CENTCOM has been posting in the past 24 hours as we're learning more from U.S. officials about the trajectory of the conflict. Today, we heard from Secretary Hegseth and General Kane speaking to the media, answering questions about Iran's new supreme leader, as well as their perceived progress in the fight and where things go from here. The U.S., we're learning now, is sending 2,500 Marines and at least one more ship to the Middle East, marking a major addition.
So as of this report, I mean, just starting off, it says 2,500 so far. Now, I'm sure that has been updated, I'm sure, but we'll see. That just as of right now, 2,500 is being the first report.
Of troops to the region. Standing by is retired Marine Intelligence Officer, host of the Strap Podcast, and National Security Analyst, Hal Kempfer. Hal, ultimately, one thing I wanted to bring up with you here is what I'm reading is the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit and an amphibious assault ship that are heading to the Middle East together. As soon as I heard about this, I texted you and I was asking you, what is the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit? What kind of manpower does something like this bring to the region?
Well, Austin, what it is it's a Marine Air Ground Task Force. It's specially set up. It's built around a infantry battalion as its ground combat element. It has a composite air squadron with a number of aircraft. Of course, one of the biggest components are the tilt rotor V-22 Ospreys. That is a standard troop carrier that we have with that, but it has other aircraft as well. And then it has a logistics element, what we call combat service support element. And then there's a command element that's commanded by a 06 colonel. And it's a very capable thing. They're all rated special operations
Make sure you guys get the likes up, man. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Appreciate you guys.
capable. They can do a lot of different things. They can obviously go in and do regular warfare, but they also have special training to do things like amphibious raids and various other things that could be very important with what's coming up in the Persian Gulf. If we were to decide to, say, do a raid on a small island or maybe even take a small island, and there's a number of small islands in the Strait of Hormuz, or do something at some other location. But obviously, reducing a lot of those anti-ship capabilities in and around the strait is a big issue, and this gives us a lot of punch in that regard.
Could an expeditionary unit be a precursor to some sort of larger ground operation?
Potentially. I have to tell you, the MEU is set up to be, it's set up in such a way that operates as its own command. Now, I used to be a principal staff officer. I was a G2, the director of intelligence for the MEB, which is the next higher unit. That's where you have more things added on. Instead of a battalion, you have a regiment or more than a regiment.
Good morning, Mark. Great to see you in the chat, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. We got Tiffany as well. Good morning to you guys. Hopefully you guys are staying warm this morning.
Of ground capability, you have multiple squadrons, which gives you, a Marine Air group, and then you have a lot more combat service support, and it bumps it up to a general officer commanding it. So that builds a larger MAGTF and then potentially going a lot bigger. But if you go back historically, yeah, sometimes the MEU will go into an area first, unless it's heavily opposed. And then they might bring in additional parts, and we'll build it up into a larger type of Marine Air Ground Task Force unit.
For those that are wondering, this is how CENTCOM announced it. They say, by the way, here's an update on something that you and I were discussing yesterday, Hal, a tragic situation. CENTCOM putting this out, saying that all crew members of that KC-135 loss in Iraq were confirmed. All 6 crew members aboard that plane that went down in Western Iraq are now confirmed deceased, according to CENTCOM. The aircraft was lost, they say, while flying over friendly airspace on March 12th during Operation Epic Fury. The circumstances of the incident are under investigation. However, the loss of the aircraft was not due to hostile fire or friendly.
No, it's actually most likely, I actually watched a whole breakdown where one of the planes might have gone a little off course, and man, that small miscalculation, which happens, man, and people are fatigued or whatever the case is. And it looks like the nose hit the tail wing of the other aircraft, the other KC-135. There was 2.
Fire. The identities of the service members are being withheld until 24 hours after the next of kin have been notified. I wanted to make sure we brought that update because that was something that you and I were discussing yesterday. There's a lot of developments in this war, Hal. We've been asking the audience to send in their questions about the conflict. Thomas sending this in from Harrisburg, asking, how will Iran respond to the deployment of U.S. ground troops? And just to be clear, we don't know for sure that there will be a deployment of U.S. ground troops. But given what we've heard from the Iranian regime so far, Hal, how do they and how do we expect that they would respond to something like that?
Well, they'll try to respond with probably ground troops of their own. They don't really have an Air Force anymore. We knocked that out. They can't do any naval gunfire.
Well, they didn't really have much of an Air Force to begin with. I mean, they really, really did rely on their ballistic missile program to basically be their offense and defense on the aspect of like the Air Force for them.
To oppose them because, well, they don't have
They did have a few planes and shit, but those are gone.
a Navy. So they will try, if there was ground troops deployed, and I'm assuming the deployment would mean if we had ground troops introduced on the ground in Iran, they would try to employ their ground forces to basically counter them. Now, the interesting thing is we control the air. And I mean, we jointly, Israel and the U.S., but we have tremendous resources out there. So if we did, for example,
Hey, brother Jack Talcott, great to see you in the chat, man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning so far. Definitely know that we are. Blessings all around, my man.
This relatively small unit of Marines taking a village, a town, a key terrain point or something like that along the coast, and they tried to deploy forces in to attack us, that actually could turn out to be kind of a trap for them because we have the air capability to take out any convoys, large masses of armor, troops, whatever, we could actually, basically decimate them or destroy them before they ever got there. So that's how they may respond. But I think right now we're just trying to put an extra capability into the region. And I should point out, in Venezuela, we also had a Marine Expeditionary Unit that was sitting out in the Caribbean while we did the Maduro operation. And certainly that definitely kept the Venezuelans nervous, realizing the Marines are just offshore. Even though it's not a huge force, it does give us a lot of capabilities that we just don't have now.
Could the Expeditionary Unit clear up or perhaps aid and help some of the shipping issues in the Strait of Hormuz? You were talking about those little islands. Those little islands would be in that general area, correct?
Potentially they could. Now, the anti-ship missiles or what we're looking at now are sea mines, anti-ship missiles, things along that nature. So, and drones, of course. So in that regard, the Marines might be of some help, but if there's an anti-ship missile coming into a ship, the Marines, if you had Marines potentially, like a detachment of Marines on deck with the ship, that wouldn't help much. Now, if the threat was from pirates or piracy, if they were or doing some sort of, if they were doing things where they're coming up on small boats and trying to take over the ship or something.
Well, the problem is the channel right there. I mean, it's the bottleneck, right? Everyone's seen it by now. The threats are, of course, mines. And then you got to remember that where the strait is, that's against right there. That's all Iran. So their beaches are ready to fucking go. You know what I mean? Everything that's right there along the coast, they're ready to go and shoot missiles and ballistic missiles and stuff like that at these ships and stuff. So
yeah, the Marines would make a big difference. And that is a historic mission of the Marines, is to repel borders and repel anyone who wants to take over a ship. So yes, they could do that. But unless we brought some special operation, I did notice it was 2,500 instead of 2,200, which indicates to me that we may have added one or more units to this complement. So maybe there is something in there that does special things with countering drones.
What's up, Big L, my man? Great to see you in the chat as well. Happy Monday.
Or using drones, or maybe doing some sort of anti-air capability augmentation. So all these things are possible, but I don't. Those details are not public, and I don't know what they are.
Let's look at this live vantage point of Beirut. We've been looking at this on the nightly, basically. And by the way, the time in Lebanon, about a half hour past midnight. It's not uncommon for us to see the IDF carrying out strikes in real.
Hey, Steve Easy, I very much appreciate that, my man. Yeah, J.R. Bowling is in surgery right now as we speak. He blew up at, it's kind of crazy, but he had an entire room in his in his plant that was filled up with hydrogen and exploded. And it really did fuck him up. And this happened a lot, many years ago, but he always has to go in and continue getting surgery, and it's like a long, super long process. But I very much appreciate that, Steve Easy.
We know they've been aiming for Hezbollah infrastructure in the Beirut suburbs. Hal, today I was reading that Hezbollah's leaders say that they're ready for a long war with Israel. From what we've seen on the battlefield in southern Lebanon and parts of Beirut, how strong is Hezbollah at this point? Does the evidence show that they are actually up for an extended fight?
That is a very good question, and I don't know how they can.
What's up, brother Junkyard? My man, we live, baby. That's facts.
That they would say they're ready for a long war doesn't surprise me. I can't imagine that they'd say anything else. By the correlation would be, would they ever come out and announce, "Hey, we're ready for a short war, but if it's a long war, we're not going to make it." I don't think they would ever say anything like that. What they're saying is they're ready for a long war. Yes, they are deeply embedded in that area. They have caches of weapons, ammunition. They have a lot of capabilities. They've been there forever. This is not the first time.
Probably not, but they definitely have trucks that you can just bring them in. I mean, they're mobile, and so they're hidden underneath ground right now. There's still going to be launchers and stuff like that, of course. Real quick, my man, Al Patterson coming in with the 5 gifted memberships. Let's go, bro. Thank you very much for sending it out this morning. Thank you very much. It helps not only me, but it helps 5 others in the IWF, man. I very much appreciate that. All right, here we go.
Israel's got it on the ground. It's not the first time Israel's attacking from the air. So, of course, they're going to make it sound like they're ready. And, yes, they are somewhat resilient. And I'm assuming there are tens of thousands. I don't know what the current count is. There's been a lot of attrition. And when you even look at the numbers, if I had raw numbers like that to say this is exactly what they are, that doesn't mean that they're very well commanded or controlled or every unit is up to what it was, say, 2 years ago or something. So, that's a really good question if they could withstand it. But obviously, Israel has very good intelligence on what's there. They know exactly what they're up against, and they're bringing in the requisite number of ground troops along with air capability that will be needed to basically reduce terrain. And the big thing is they're just going to push them off hill by hill, village by village, and they're going to push them back and clear all these villages. And I'm not surprised Hezbollah says it's ready for a long war. But I will say this is the big sea change in Lebanon. The government has clearly had it with Hezbollah. They have made it absolutely clear they've been trying to diplomatically, negotiate for Hezbollah to disarm per the agreement that was out there, quite some time ago. Hezbollah has been dragging its feet, has not been doing that. They want to rebuild back over.
Don't worry, we're about to move on from this. I'm just letting them finish up this very last point, and then we're moving on.
Want to build back their capability again. And it's very interesting to see the Lebanese government, duly elected Lebanese government, essentially lining up policy-wise, politically, with the intent of Israel. That's something I've not seen quite that way before. That to me was a sea change, and that's something that definitely has Hezbollah's attention.
We want to make sure that...
All right. Guys, we've got 678 people in here between the two streams. Make sure you guys hit that like button and double tap that screen on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. All right, we're going to move on. Iran strikes U.S. embassy compound after U.S. conducts large-scale attack. Now, let's go ahead and bring that up here. But first, you guys, we haven't gotten the money part over with. Let's just do that.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
And that's facts.
Denied.
But I still love you guys. All right, let's go ahead and bring this up. 3, 2, 1.
Here on the right-hand side of your screen, you are taking a live look over in Baghdad at the U.S. Embassy as we...
Shit. Let me go ahead and bring up the playback speed as well. Here we go.
Get to some of this video here from earlier on today. Take a look. This is from just a short time ago, and you can see the fire there as new video shows smoke and fire from the U.S. Embassy in Iraq's capital of Baghdad earlier after Iraqi officials say the compound was struck by a missile. Now, information still fairly limited at this point, and it's not clear yet if there are any injuries. But those officials in Iraq say it appears the missile hit a helipad inside of the compound. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad renewed its level 4 security warning just yesterday.
I would imagine not.
Cautioning that Iran could carry out attacks against U.S. citizens and infrastructure within Iraq. Again, you can see the smoke rising there in the distance in this video provided a short time ago, but this is a live look at this hour outside of that compound of the U.S. Embassy. In the meantime, I do want to get to some other video that's coming in from CENTCOM. Take a look right here on your screen as U.S. Central Command releasing video showing the, quote, large-scale precision strike on Iran's Karg Island. You can see a lot of explosions there on your screen. CENTCOM explaining that the strike destroyed naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, and several other military sites, with the Pentagon adding U.S. forces hit more than 90 Iranian military targets on Karg Island while preserving the infrastructure. President Trump says he ordered that major strike, which was then carried out by the U.S. military. As always, a lot to discuss here, so I do want to bring in Mark Chandler, Director of Government Relations at Coastal Carolina University, and, of course, Professor of Practice, also a former Senior Defense Intelligence official. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
You're welcome, Josh, and good morning.
Good morning. Well, first off, on the left-hand side of your screen, once again, taking a live look over Baghdad outside of the U.S. Embassy compound. Now, to see that missile actually strike what appears to be the helipad there, what does that say about Iran, their nuclear capabilities, or really just their military capabilities at this point?
Well, I think first and foremost, Josh, we need to realize that Iran really has taken the gloves off. I mean, all diplomatic facilities are being attacked. They've attacked them in Riyadh. They have attacked them in UAE. So they're going to continue this attack, go after what we would call soft targets, because there's not a lot of great defenses around those targets against ballistic missiles or even...
What's up, my man, Wally? Shit, great to see you in the chat, my man. Happy Monday.
Drone attacks. So that's one thing. Iran's going to continue this. They're not going to slow down on that, even though we are rolling back their military capability. The second thing is, I think we need to look at the accuracy of that. Now, number one, they've got to have good inside intelligence. We know that they have operatives, Shia militia, that are in strong support of Iran and backed by Iran all throughout Iraq. As a matter of fact, those same Shia militia have been conducting attacks against some of our forces that are scattered throughout Iraq. So we know they have good insight, and you need that to target with a ballistic missile, because they're going to program in the site for that. The embassy's not hidden, but they just need to get that final accurate information for either a drone attack or a missile attack. Now,
what's up, Kerry? Good morning to you as well. Shit, we got all the legends in here this morning.
They probably have observers working around. I know that they have been using some Shiite observers. Some want to call them sleeper cells, but they've been active in the Middle East across the Arab countries for years. So you look at that, they're going to observe American facilities, whether it's American diplomatic facilities, the military bases, or, and this is where they're going to try to escalate, even housing areas where Americans kind of concentrate themselves in certain areas of these cities across the Arab states. So it's still a dangerous environment. As you said, we don't have any injury reports. I know that they're on heightened security there in Baghdad. We've evacuated the embassy in Kuwait City. So I would expect more of these attacks. I would expect them to be on target when they go after these facilities out there. And so we're still in the early stages of this fighting.
And I want to pop this up on your screen right
and
here.
I believe that. I believe we're in the early stages, and that's a sad part. Like, I wish it. Obviously, you guys know my position on this. I don't think that we should have even gone to and dealt with Israel's war. You know what I mean? But shit. Make sure you guys get the likes up. We've got 600, now 747 people in here. Make sure you guys double tap that screen on the vertical side and hit the like button if you're on the horizontal. Listen, you don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here, so thank you.
Video that's coming in out of CENTCOM, and you can almost hear it a little bit in the background, but there are these strikes that are taking place. We learned last night from President Trump about this large-scale precision strike, he says, on Karg Island. For folks out there, can you explain Karg Island and the significance of this strike?
Well, a couple of things I want to point out. Number one, this was an excellent military operation using precision-guided munitions to go after the military targets on Karg Island only. You know, Karg Island is perhaps the most critical energy point for Iran to export its oil. 90% of Iran's export oil goes through Karg Island. It's off the coast, if you will, and they pipeline the oil out there. They dug in very deep areas so that deep water oil tankers can get into there. So that's their primary oil export point. Going after the military targets, and Iran has militarized several islands in the Persian Gulf.
Damn, Joseph, you just dropped a bomb on that one. That's facts.
Karg Island being one of them for defensive purposes, obviously, to prevent such an attack, but not such a sophisticated attack that we conducted. By leaving the infrastructure alive, what we're saying is, remember...
Brother, so loud in the chat. My man, good morning. And we got my man, Virginia Chaos, as well. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Monday morning.
One, we're going to go after you militarily. Number two, we recognize the importance of this for Iran's future. And I'm choosing my words carefully, Josh, because I'm saying this, Iran's future, not the Islamic Republic's future, which is the regime. Because Iran itself has such vast natural resources. They can be such a great country, a great economic benefit to the Middle East and the world, but not under the Islamic regime. So that's the difference here. They're targeting that, but it sends a message. We can take out these precise military targets. We could also cripple them, their economy for, years to come, if not decades, if we were to take out Karg Island itself. And I did mention one thing I just want to add on. They militarized that island. They put security up. There's a couple of other islands in the southern part of the Persian Gulf, Abu Musa, the Syria Islands. They've also militarized those. So we need to worry about taking care of those as we worry about commercial shipping and tankers going through the southern part of the Persian Gulf as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see strikes on those in the coming days.
And I want to pop this up on your screen. I know you've seen this, as many people out there have as well. We know that we haven't seen Iran's new supreme leader publicly, and one of the photos released of him appears, according to those who have investigated, to be made with AI. So a lot of questions here.
Are we not, man?
And in moments of conflict like this, how important is it for maybe a country's leader to be visible? And what message does that send? Because, again, he has not been seen in public. We heard this message from him the other day, but it wasn't delivered.
It wasn't in person. It was written. And, yeah, he's dismembered like me, I think. I think he actually legitimately lost his leg.
With him on camera, and it wasn't him talking.
Right. Josh, number one, you hit the nail on the head. I think it's critical that any nation in a crisis like this have their leaders stand up and show strength. You know, lead from the front, lead with confidence out there. We're not seeing that from Mujtaba Khamenei. So couple of reasons, and I'm going to speculate here. Obviously, I'm not inside there, so I don't 100% know, but he was critically injured in that attack that killed his father and part.
Holy shit, we got a huge shout out to make. We got my man Virginia Chaos coming in hot on the Cash App, man. He always shows so much support. I really appreciate you, bro. Just tuned in. Here's your freaking money. He sends $10. Hashtag Virginia Chaos. My man, you're a legend, bro. Thank you for that. Absolutely. All right, let's get right back into this. Thank you for making it rain in the Cash App, man. Here we go.
Of his family. So we're looking at that. Iran probably doesn't want to show him on TV because right now, after selecting him, they should have put him out there, put him in a meeting, showing him doing leadership things, showing him being in charge and talking. So either he's incapacitated to the point where he can't, or he's so wounded that by showing him on TV, showing him live, or showing current pictures of him would kind of destroy the confidence, not in the Iranian people, but in that core leadership, in the regime leadership, in the IRGC leadership. They can't afford to show a weakened supreme leader, if you will. So that actually is telling, but they're going to continue this AI. They're going to continue showing older pictures of him.
Yo, that is pretty fucking funny, Joseph. Ironically, I do have a spare leg. Here's one right here. Shit. That is too fucking funny. All right, back to this.
Fully healthy, but you haven't heard him and you haven't seen him. And that definitely sends a message out there for those who are willing to look just beyond the surface of this.
It definitely sends a message. And I want to play really quickly this soundbite of sorts that came in from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth yesterday about all of this.
Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader
That's
is
what
wounded
rats do.
and
Damn.
likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for
What's up, No? Good morning.
unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. It's a mess for them. Who's in charge?
One-legged man on the run, man. Shit, that sucks. We got chatting with Stacks, my man. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. Great to see you.
Iran may not even know.
All right, I wanted to play that for you. That was from yesterday during the news conference that he held alongside General Dan Raisin Kane. Again, all of that happening on Operation Epic Fury, which, by the way, today marks 2 weeks since those first attacks by the U.S. and Israel on Iran. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit as we take a live look outside of the White House here. We learned that essentially, according to officials there, a U.S. official speaking with the Associated Press saying that about 2,500 more Marines and amphibious assault ship, they're being sent to the Middle East, adding to the military's kind of buildup there that we're seeing in the Middle East. What message is that sending?
Well, number one, I think that's important. The Marines are near and dear to my heart.
Guys, we have over 700 people in here. We need to get the likes up, seriously. Make sure you guys double tap that screen on the vertical side and hit that like button on the horizontal. Appreciate that.
That's the 31st MEU that's stationed in Okinawa, Japan. So they're getting ready. They're going to get on ships. It'll probably take about 10 days sailing time. So what we're doing is we're sending a message that, one, we're still in this fight. We're going to be in this fight. And the Marines,
What's up, Chasing Ghost? Good morning.
Again, near and dear to my heart. We send a certain message when we deploy Marines. The nation's premier fighting force, we're coming in there, but the Marines actually bring a multitude of capabilities with them. We fight in what are called MAGTAFs, Marine Air Ground Task Force. So the Marines are going to bring some additional fighter bomber aircraft, some helicopter aircraft, an entire infantry battalion, logistics, and some command and control. So when they get there and they're bringing 3 ships, we ride out on what's called an amphibious ready group. They'll come in there and we can task organize. So those militarized islands I talked about in the southern part of the Persian Gulf, or Karg Island itself, if we need to do a limited objective seizure of those, the Marines are the perfect force to be able to go in and do that. So we'll add to the firepower. We can help out on logistics that are going in there. So we're just, we're preparing.
And Marines don't fuck around, cuh. All right, we're going to move on, though. Iran war, U.S. and other countries sending warships to Strait of Hormuz. And that is because for the escort situation, if they decide to go ahead and do that, that they'll be able to pull the trigger on that. So let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll discuss it quickly here.
Back here.
You know what? Actually, everybody involved, including everyone in the chat, everyone needs to embrace their fucking fuck ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Embrace thy process. Here we go.
Ron, live now from Fox, the time 12:33 on the East Coast and 9:33 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and we do have some breaking news that we are following as we take a live look there outside of the White House. This involves President Donald Trump. Taking a look here at some of the video as President Trump saying today that, quote, many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Strait of Hormuz, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. We know there's been a lot of discussion about the Strait of Hormuz, especially over the past several weeks, as of course, there's talks about oil and other commercial products. Now, I want to pop up a post from President Trump a bit earlier today on Truth Social as he made this announcement. He said, quote, many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. He goes on to say in that Truth Social post,
real quick, Naomi sends in $1.99. Thank you for the $2, by the way. She says Steve Easy and Glare tickle each other with corn. Well, shit.
Oh my God!
Man, that's brutal. You know what I mean? Shit.
Why are you gay?
Hopefully, China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. In the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships out of the water. One way or the other, we will soon get the Hormuz Strait open, safe, and free. President Donald J. Trump. Again, he posted this on Truth Social a bit earlier, essentially saying that the U.S. and hopefully others will be sending those warships to...
What's up, Brennan Smith? Good morning.
...the Strait of Hormuz as all of this does continue.
What
I want to do is talk a little bit more about the war itself that is still underway, as we have some video that I want to pop up on your screen coming in out of the U.S. Embassy in Iraq a bit earlier on today. Take a look there at your screen as that video shows the smoke rising from the U.S. Embassy in Iraq's capital of Baghdad after Iraqi officials say the compound was actually hit there by a missile. Now, at this point, hours later, the information is still fairly limited. It's not clear yet if there are any kind of injuries that have been reported, but those officials in Iraq say it appears the missile hit a helipad inside the compound and, of course, causing the fire and the smoke that you're seeing right there on your screen. Now, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad renewed its level 4 security warning just yesterday, cautioning that Iran could carry out attacks against U.S. citizens and infrastructure within Iraq. This comes just a couple days after 6 U.S. service members were killed in a crash of a refueling aircraft in Iraq. However, very important.
What's up, David? Good morning to you as well.
Important to note that the Pentagon says that crash was not an incident of hostile fire or friendly fire, and an investigation will be conducted. Again, we are following all of the latest developments right here on Live Now from Fox as we get them.
And of course, we're doing the same shit. So anyways, that's why you guys are going to hit that subscribe button, because we follow all these news stories. And then, of course, we do our best to go ahead and show you guys any updates that we get as we go. So, all right. So now we're going to go ahead and discuss 13 U.S. service members dead in Operation Epic Fury, CENTCOM says. Let's go ahead and discuss this quickly.
Now, all 6 crew members of the KC-135 refueling aircraft that crashed while supporting operations against Iran have died. The U.S. military confirming that in a statement. I'm going to pop that up on your screen. This came out just yesterday. U.S. Central Command, which oversees the Middle East, said the crash in western Iraq on Thursday followed an unspecified incident involving 2 aircraft in, quote, friendly airspace, and that the other plane landed safely. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine saying on social media that 3 of the 6 crew members were from his state and deployed with the Ohio Air National Guard's 121st Air Refueling Wing. He did not identify them, but offered condolences to their families.
I appreciate that, George, by the way.
The crash brings the U.S. death toll in Operation Epic Fury to about 13 service members, with the 7 others killed in combat. About 140 U.S. service members have been injured, including 8 severely. That is according to the Pentagon. Right now, there is a lot to discuss about all of this, so I do want to bring in a friend of the show here. We have Glenn Ignazio. He is a retired Air Force Special Operations Commander and, of course, a national security analyst. Thank you so much, Glenn, for taking the time to join us and to discuss a little bit more about all of this.
Absolutely. It's great to be with you, Josh.
And first off, I wanted to...
All right, real quick. Thank you for letting me know that, Steve. I can't see it on the StreamYard side, which super sucks. All right, so am I right? Is that what it is? Am I right? Or, man, I can't pronounce that name. But, hey, I very much appreciate it. Sending over some jewels on the, wow, a lot of jewels, actually. 250, then 20, then 4. Wow, thank you very much for making it rain in the vertical chat, man. I very much appreciate that. Let's go.
See if you can kind of explain for folks out there the aircraft here that is involved.
Thank you, Mods.
Sure. You showed a couple of photos of it. It's called a KC-135, and it's the bigger aircraft that passes fuel to a lot of aircraft. The fighters, the B-52 bombers, bigger aircraft than actually it is. So it's a 4-inch.
Cut to the chase. Good morning.
Jet. It carries a significant amount of fuel. So what happens is we're able to extend the mission, or like fighters, they're taking off lighter with fuel because of the weapons, and then they'll tank up. So this is what they do. It is a significant thing that we do in training all the time. Even the event that unfortunately occurred is something that we even do in training. So it wasn't just a combat action like a fighter going in on an attack mission.
And can you explain to me a little bit about how you would see essentially this investigation going? Because, of course, officials, they're in mourning right now, but they also have to investigate the situation in general.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's one of the hardest parts. And to also understand it was what happened is that aircraft you're showing, a KC-135, was actually refueling another KC-135. A lot of things are into the planning of fuel, so that's what happened. Now, as far as the investigation occurs, first of all, it is considered a hostile theater, but what will happen is specialists, pilots, accident investigation certified individuals that have flown this aircraft that are not attached to the unit are going to be doing the investigation. So that eliminates the emotional connection and so forth of a unit doing it themselves. So they'll be looking at everything from any information. Another aircraft was behind it that looks like made a collision. They're going to be interviewing everybody and everything. So similar to the way the NTSB does it with, say, an airliner, they're doing the same thing. And they look at it from human factors, flight times, crew duty days, all the way to mechanical procedures, tactics, techniques, what broke down.
And on more of a personal level here, when you hear something like this has happened, based on your experience, what you've seen, what kind of goes through your mind there?
Unfortunately, it is a horrific situation. And of course, I was saying is that this operation that they were doing is the same thing that many crews in the United States are doing for normal training. We don't just do it for once in combat. So this event that unfortunately occurred could have occurred anywhere in the United States in training. So just so people can understand it. But
I really, really appreciate that. And yes, it's really interesting how news will spin shit, and then they come out too eager. They get some sort of information and they just spit it out. That's not what we do here. We fact check. The other plane did actually land correctly. So, but thank you for that.
As far as this is concerned, you have another aircraft that was there that could have clipped it. The tail was clipped. So that could have been when they're crossing underneath. They could have hit an engine. They could have hit the tail. It could have hit anything. So we won't speculate. But you have to think about one air crew is within feet of this aircraft that actually went down. And they have to actually observe this and try to do what they can to get rescue forces in it. So it is a horrific situation. Can't imagine what it's like inside that aircraft. But even the other crews, the other pilots, their experience are going to be impacted gravely in such a way that we will see what their future is, because that is an emotional impact that is hard to get over.
Is this something that we see happen, I don't want to say frequently, but when you're talking about a refueling aircraft collision like this, is this something that it can happen?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all know that, man. Come on, Josh. You got better questions than that. We're going to move on, though. Let's go ahead and get into DHS shutdown continues amid multiple terror attacks. And the travel delays are massive, by the way. If you guys look at the lines outside of the airport in Dallas, it's just insane. In Austin and Dallas, it's fucked up right now. It's literally going around the airport like twice. With DHS being shut down on the funding side, that includes TSA. They're lumped up in them.
You are taking a live look on Capitol Hill right now as lawmakers resume work tomorrow as they continue to debate DHS funding amid the Iran conflict. And this partial government shutdown impacting a number of different areas. I did want to share this with you. This is a social media post from the Homeland Security saying, thanks to the Democrats' shutdown, travelers at Austin Bergstrom International Airport are again seeing massive security lines this morning. The Democrats' political games are making spring break travel a nightmare for Americans as they continue to withhold funding from DHS and refuse to pay our heroic TSA officers. Now, the Senate was debating this very issue last week. A lot of fiery discussion from both the Democrats and the Republicans on this issue. And to speak more on this, I do want to bring in political strategist and CEO of the Alliance for Secure AI, Brendan Steinhauser. And Brendan, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox.
Great to be with you.
So I was sharing this social media post from the Homeland Security talking about the impact.
What's up, Sterling? Good morning to you, kind sir. Great to see you in the chat, my man.
And that's just one area that the partial government shutdown is impacting. Can you share with us the different areas that the shutdown is having and the holdup of DHS funding?
Absolutely. And I have a personal interest in what's going on at Austin's airport. I'll be flying from Austin to D.C.
See, I was just talking about Austin
tomorrow. And I've heard horror stories already about the long lines there, the travel delays and disruptions. And I think that contributes not only to frustration.
I would be surprised if it was that low of a number at this point, Jimmy.
For passengers, but economic disruption as well. You have people that can't go and do their business. You have uncertainty that's being created by this partial shutdown in terms of both, economic impacts and also people worried about the security side. And so the economic impacts are definitely one. I'm mostly concerned about the national security implications. We've had 4 radical Islamist terror attacks on this country in the past few weeks, and we need DHS to be fully funded so they can protect our homeland. And I think we have a real crisis now with Iranian operatives looking to attack the homeland. And so we've got to solve this really soon and get DHS funded.
Time is of the essence, and you bring up the recent terror-related attacks that we've been seeing. DHS, of course, with these operations and security being paramount. You know, the impasse continues to be ICE operations. We've seen the Democrats say unless, the changes are made with ICE operations, they will refuse to allow the reopening of the government. Is there a way for Democrats and Republicans to work together to perhaps even, remove this particular issue from the bill? What has to happen?
I think what Republicans and Democrats could do is just agree to pass a continuing resolution to fund DHS for a time and then continue to negotiate over these reforms that Democrats want. But what that would allow is for DHS to be funded, to continue operations, to protect our country while they continue to debate these reforms. And I think, some of the things they're asking for are kind of more popular than others. Some of the things they're asking for, Republicans might negotiate with them and give them those things. They may not.
And the Democrats are not going to do it.
Get everything, but I don't think they should kind of hold the funding hostage to get everything they want while we have the men and women of so many different agencies within DHS who are not getting paid, who want to serve their country, who want to protect the homeland. And I think most Americans want to see this partial government shutdown end so that these agencies can protect the American people.
And you bring up a really important point, the American people, because the public is feeling this very differently, perhaps, than the people debating the issue in Washington, D.C. And I have to imagine there's a lot of frustration. Can you talk about that perspective from the public in terms of the gridlock that continues to happen there on Capitol Hill?
Yeah, I think most of the American people, whether they're Republicans or Democrats or independents, want their government to work. They want the government to do the basic job that it's meant to do. And that includes things like airport security and allowing for people to go on smoothly and travel to their destination in a secure and safe way. But they get very frustrated with the disruptions there, and they know that it's due to what's going on in Washington and that those folks in D.C. do have the power to stop that. And then you do hear a lot when you talk to people about one of the most important issues for the federal government, which is, again, protecting the homeland. And so people are frustrated that sort of the one thing we all agree on as Republicans and Democrats is that the federal government's job is to protect the homeland, to provide for the common defense and protect our national security. And we're in a very fraught time right now with what's going on in the Middle East. And so I think there's a lot of frustration there from people on both sides of the aisle who are saying, find a way to cut a deal to make this partial government shutdown end so we can get on with our lives, but also so that those agencies, those brave men and women of DHS can protect our country.
Is there an end in sight?
Sure.
No, I think there is. I can't predict when it will happen or exactly how it will happen, but I think political pressure will kind of ramp up. As more and more people kind of sound off and get more frustrated with the politicians who are doing this, especially the Democrats in this particular case. I think both parties have kind of pushed government shutdowns in the past, but I think this one is on the Democrats in this case. And so I think as political pressure and economic pressure does kind of increase, and probably the Dems will get the blame on this, I think they'll have to concede to maybe doing a continuing resolution and then maybe conceding some other points along the way. I don't think that people are necessarily with the Democrats on this particular shutdown.
And, we're in.
All right, and we don't need to hear the rest of that. We're going to move on. What to expect as Trump urges warships to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Let's go ahead and bring that up, and we'll discuss it briefly here. And you know what we haven't done as well? We haven't forced you guys to obey yet. You know what I mean? You guys got to obey. Shit.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
Now that was some epic propaganda. All right, here we go. Let's go.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. More than 2 weeks ago now, the world watched the United States and Israel in a joint operation begin epic fury there in Iran, taking out the Ayatollah and also major blasts throughout that country. And we're now learning new information about the Strait of Hormuz, that energy artery that is potentially almost at a standstill, causing lots of influx and increase in world oil prices. President Trump suggesting that U.S. allies now get involved for a potential team effort there, as you see this over the weekend, as President Trump is laying down the United States of America has beaten and completely decimated Iran, both militarily, economically, and every other way. But the countries of the world that receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of the passage, and we will help a lot. The U.S. will coordinate with those countries so that everything goes quickly, smoothly, and well. This should have always been a team effort, and now it will be as we bring the world together there. As he's suggesting this here on Live Now from Fox, talking about hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, the United Kingdom, they are impacted. They'll help out in this way. All right, let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox and bring into the conversation from Defense Priorities Director of Middle East there, Rosemary Kalanick. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. President Trump trying to bring in all of these allies. No really confirmation that they will assist the United States. What does this signify to you?
Well, I mean, I think there's a logic to it, which is that everybody who is a consumer of oil, which is basically every country in the world, is harmed by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So there's a logic to Trump wanting allies, U.S. allies and others, right? China's not a U.S. ally, but China still is affected by oil price spikes that stem from the closure of Hormuz. There's a logic for the president to ask other countries.
Man, my man Jimmy Mack coming in with the 420. We love that number, by the way. He says donate, donate, donate. That's facts, man. I very much appreciate that. Shit. Making it rain in the chat. Love it. Oh, you know what we can do for that? Get our counterclockwise tobacco ready here. All right, here we go.
To help out with this. But I think it is also revealing of the fact that this is a very dangerous naval mission, potentially. And it may be one that requires a lot of resources that the U.S. doesn't have in the region at the moment.
Yeah, that is a good point. Obviously, some of those countries, not necessarily allies, mentioning China, obviously other allies like France, South Korea, the United Kingdom. If we hear from any of those countries, what expected do we expect them to be involved in this, to ultimately say yes?
Hold on before she answers. Real quick, my man Sterling Will dropping a bomber real quick. Gifting out 5 gifted memberships, not only helping me, but 5 others in the IWF, man. I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much, kind sir. Let's get it.
I would be surprised if many of them said yes, simply because it is a very dangerous mission. And I do think, unfortunately, the president in some of his brusque ways of dealing with allies has politically alienated some of them. He had not necessarily told all of the U.S. allies ahead of time that he was planning on attacking Iran. So I do think there are some ruffled feathers and there's some anger out there that might make it a little bit politically difficult for those countries to then join in. But setting aside the politics of it, it's just also very sort of, geographically and militarily a difficult thing to do. And it might actually be even more complicated if you're trying to coordinate different militaries under the same mission.
I got to agree with you, Sterling. I do have to agree with you. We're going to make that happen.
And that's what I was going to get into, because even if all of these countries, they did get involved, how realistic would it be that the United States, along with U.S. allies and elsewhere, be able to reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Because we talk about it being so very narrow and so very difficult with the drones, with some of the missiles.
Appreciate you, and thank you for all the help, Naomi, this morning. Always appreciate your moderation.
With some of the potential mines out there in this channel.
Yeah, I mean, there's real questions about the U.S. ability to open the strait physically or militarily, right, to make it safe for shipping. And there are some who think that the U.S. may not be able to do it. I think the question is more about
what's up, brother Lee Lance? Good morning.
What level of risk, what level of casualties, what level of cost is the U.S. willing to bear to try to open it? And the problem is this is a narrow waterway. It's right off the coast of Iran. Some areas of the waterway that ships have to pass through are only 3 or 4 miles from the coast.
Winning Spleef, shit. Great to see you, man. And thank you for the 420. Shit. Making it rain in the chat this morning, my man.
And Iran has fortified that coast. It's covered with all kinds of missiles, drone launchers. On the shore, they have sea drones. They have fast attack vessels, et cetera. So they have many layers of forces that they can concentrate on the strait. And there's very little reaction time for air defenses. It could be as short as a 2-minute reaction time. So that just makes it very difficult to have a mission without there being a serious possibility of major casualties.
And we talk about this. Are there any indicators we look at out there, because the price of oil futures, Brent oil, continues to climb? The fact that they do climb, does that signal from investors, from the markets, that it's unlikely, that they're optimistic that other allies get involved? Are there other indicators that might signify which way this might go?
I don't think the markets really know any better than anybody else. You know, they're doing their best guesses here, and they're trying to figure out, you know, what's eventually sort of the price will land at a place where maybe it makes it economically viable for shippers to try to go through the strait, but that would have to be a very high price. And nobody really knows for sure. But I don't think that they have a beat on what the rest of the world is going to do, or whether it would work necessarily. I think everyone has been surprised, honestly, by Iran's ability to impose costs throughout the region.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that they are able to have that kind of control, actually. But all right, let's go ahead and move on. Middle East conflict, U.S. military targets naval threats. This came out 3 hours ago from U.S. Central Command. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll go ahead and discuss it briefly.
Hi, I'm Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of U.S. Central Command, here to provide another update on Operation Epic Fury. First, I want to remember and honor our fallen warriors who made the ultimate sacrifice in the KC-135 refueling aircraft incident last week. We hold their memories and their families, their friends and their teammates in our prayers. Their selfless service and dedication hardens our resolve. For 16 days, we've delivered overwhelming firepower deep into Iran. This past Friday, U.S. forces executed a large-scale precision strike on Karg Island, destroying more than 90 Iranian military targets, including storage bunkers for naval mines and missiles and other military infrastructure. To date, our Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps aviators have collectively flown more than 6,000 combat flights, demonstrating the unmatched capability of America's joint force as we maintain air superiority over Iranian skies. We continue to remain centered on our military objectives. These are well-defined and include eliminating Iran's ballistic missiles, drones, and naval threats. It's one thing to defend by...
Hey, I appreciate you over there, Motobomb. And we've got 810 people in here between the two chats. Make sure you guys double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. Hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. And listen, man, you don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So thank you guys for that.
Striking launchers and intercepting missiles and drones, but it's another thing to eliminate the wider manufacturing apparatus behind them. And we are doing that today. We've talked about it in concept. Here's what it looks like in reality. Let me show you, for the first time, a few examples of how we are dismantling Iran's defense industrial base, which will prevent threats to the region into the future. Here you see a photo from March 1st of a naval drone storage facility located near the Strait of Hormuz. This is the same location 8 days later, completely destroyed. Next, here's a photo taken of an attack drone production factory in Tehran on March 5th. Here's that same factory 6 days later after a devastating barrage of U.S. airstrikes. And finally, the Yazdi military depot, pictured here last month. These 8 buildings are part of the IRGC's missile command infrastructure and are used to produce light and heavyweight torpedoes. Now, here's that same military depot just last week, or what's left of it. U.S. and partner strikes are doing exactly what they are intended to do, deliver on very clear military objectives to eliminate Iran's ability to project power against Americans and against its neighbors. We're also zeroed in on dismantling Iran's decades-old threat to the free flow of commerce through the Strait of Hormuz. Through a combination of air, land, and maritime capabilities, we have successfully destroyed over 100 Iranian naval vessels, and we aren't done. We will continue to rapidly deplete Iran's ability to threaten freedom of navigation in and around the Strait of Hormuz. Our progress remains steady, and we remain vigilant against the enemy. Now, a few thoughts about Iran. Over the last 2 weeks, they have launched attacks on Oman, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Jordan, Cyprus, Turkey, Azerbaijan, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Iraq, Kuwait, and Bahrain. In each of these countries, they are deliberately attacking innocent civilians. They've done this more than 300 times, which demonstrates their true nature as a global leader of terror. In just the last few days, the Iranian regime launched a reckless attack against civilian neighborhoods in Tel Aviv with cluster bombs, an inherently indiscriminate type of munition. We join countries
Cluster bombs are insane, by the way.
across the region in condemning this aggression, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with our partners in bolstering our own defenses. In sum, I will reinforce what I've said before. Iran's capabilities are declining as our capabilities and advantages continue to build.
Be safe out there, brother Steve Easy.
And finally,
Appreciate
I'd like
you.
to talk about the extraordinary 50,000 Americans who are deployed across the region executing this vital mission. It's long been my belief that every success we have begins and ends with our people. And today I'd like to recognize our unsung heroes, the sustainers enabling America's joint force to unleash this devastating
What's up, Lights? Great to see you in the chat, man.
firepower 24/7. To be clear, there's no other military on earth that does logistics like the U.S. military, and our team is at the top of their game today. They're managing distribution networks that span thousands of miles to ensure that munitions, fuel, and supplies reach warfighters on the front line on time, every time. To all our sustainers and logisticians, thank you and keep up the great work. And to the entire Operation Epic Fury team, keep pushing, remain steady, fight to win. Thanks so much and Godspeed.
All right, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of what Trump is saying real quick this morning, and then because we're already past an hour, man, we blew through this hour real quick. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because this is what we do Monday through Friday, and then of course Saturday morning for members only. And we condense everything in basically the last 24 hours: world news, geopolitics, American news, American politics, breaking news, all that shit. We condense it down into a single hour, so appreciate you guys.
So we have a lot of things.
Fix the fucking audio, please. It's always so rough in Air Force One.
Talk about, but there's not much I can say to you about it. So one of those little problems in life. But we had some very good results today, as you probably heard. And
Get the man. Everyone's got their fucking phones out. Like, can we get an actual microphone on this motherfucker, please?
Iran, very strong results militarily. We're talking to countries about policing the straits because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from the Hormuz Strait. And it's nice to have other countries police that with us. And we'll help, we'll work with them. Militarily, as far as I'm concerned, we've essentially defeated Iran. I guess they can have a little bit of fight back, but not much. Not much. We've taken out their air forces, we've taken out their navy. We've taken out their air defense. There's no air defense whatsoever. We've taken out their leadership times 2 or 3. It might be 3. We'll find out soon. But militarily, it's been amazing. We attacked Karg Island, and we left just the one little area standing, and the standing part is where they have the pipes, all the oil pipes come in. And we can do that on 5 minutes' notice. We have it all locked and loaded and ready to go if we want to do it. But we chose not to do it. I chose not to do it yet. We'll see what happens. They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate badly. I don't think they're ready. Just on what I'm hearing, they want to negotiate badly, as they should. But I don't think they're ready to do what they have to do.
Well, here's the thing, Darren. We're not doing speculation over here. We're literally showing you what is happening. So how can that be fake, showing you what is happening? Fucking arrogant fuck. Go on with your bad self.
But I think they will be ready at some point. But we're doing very well with respect to that whole situation in Iran. We are talking to other countries about working with us on the policing of the strait. And I think we're getting good response. If we do, that's great. And if we don't, that's great too. But remember, like as an example, in many cases, they're NATO countries. We're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. It's got an ocean in between us. Doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open. That, by comparison, it's small because Iran has very little firepower left. Their missiles are down to a low number. You see, they're shooting very few of them. You know why? Because they don't have very many of them. And because we've decimated their manufacturing capability. Likewise, the drones are way down. They're down to about 20% of what they had. Still have some. And they're pretty tough. But the drones are down, and we're starting hitting, as of yesterday, we're hitting places where they manufacture the drones. We think
I was hoping he was going to answer that.
I don't want to tell you about that. I mean, I can't really say for sure, but China's an interesting case study. They get most of their oil, as you know, by far. They get a lot, about 90% on the Strait. So I said, would you like to come in and we'll find out. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. You know, there's some other deeper reasons why they may not. They should come in my opinion. It never made sense for years. If you go back and look at what I've said years ago, I said, why aren't we maintaining the Hormuz Strait when it's really there for China and many other countries? Why aren't they doing it? And that's because we had weak leadership, to be honest with you. But I'm bringing it up now because I think even long term, I think it's something that other countries should help us with. How many other countries, Mr. President? And again, remember this, about 7. We talked about 7. Just remember that it's something that we don't need and these countries do need. And yet for years, it's like for years we've been maintaining and doing a great job. And now that the war is, now that they've been diminished in terms of military, their military has been greatly diminished. I think it's a good thing for other countries to come in. Now it would have been nice, as I said to the Prime Minister of the UK, who sort of was reluctant to put his 2 aircraft carriers into harm's way. That would be 2 weeks ago. And as soon as we demolished, essentially, pretty much demolished them, not over yet, but pretty much we're in great shape. Let's put it that way, as everybody knows. He said, we'd like to send our aircraft carriers. I said, I don't want them after we win the war. I want them before we start the war. So whether it's...
All right, so because the audio is so shitty and these guys can't get their fucking shit straight when they're on Air Force One, we're going to move on into our very, very last thing here. An hour ago, Israel strikes Iranian space compound. Let's go ahead and bring this up, and we'll go ahead and wrap all this up.
I want to pop this up on your screen as we are just getting this coming into the newsroom here.
Yes, and this just came out an hour ago.
Israel's military confirming a short time ago that it destroyed a compound belonging to the Iranian regime that...
What's up, Grumble? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat, my man. Happy Monday.
...was used to develop capabilities in space to attack satellites. Israel's Air Force saying it was acting on IDF intelligence and struck that compound, which posed a threat to Israel's satellites, but also to space assets of other countries around the world. Israel says this adds to Friday's strike against another space research compound that belonged to the Iranian Space Organization. So again, just getting those maps that are coming into the newsroom here from the IDF. Now, Iran's Revolutionary Guard issuing a violent threat saying that it will hunt down and kill Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. The state-run IRNA news agency reporting a statement here from the IRGC that you see right there on your screen. It reads, quote, "If the criminal Zionist prime minister is still alive, we will continue to pursue and kill him with full force."
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, if they can get their hands on him, they would absolutely kill him.
End quote. That statement coming as rumors circulated.
That's not a surprise, though. And great to see you in the chat. Extra surprise. Good morning.
That Netanyahu had been seriously injured or even killed in some recent strike, and the prime minister posted a video on social media joking about it.
We are doing things that I cannot share at this moment, but we are doing things, striking Iran very hard.
And this is video coming in this morning out of the United Arab Emirates earlier today as a drone actually struck a fuel tank at Dubai International Airport, the busiest airport in the world. Another drone hitting an industrial oil facility, causing a, quote, advanced fire, according to officials there. Now, officials in the UAE saying that 7 people have now died in the country since the start of the war after a missile fell on a vehicle earlier today in Abu Dhabi. 1 person killed there. Also today, Bahrain reports 4 missiles and 3 drones were fired toward its country as air defense systems responded, and Saudi Arabia saying it intercepted 3 drones today over the capital and over the western region of the country, which is known, of course, to be rich with oil. The Saudi Defense Ministry reporting more than 60 drones attacked the country in just a matter of hours. So as always, a lot of developments and a lot to talk about there out of the Middle East. I want to bring in Mark Chandler, Director of Government Relations at Coastal Carolina.
And we'll listen to the first monologue of this, and then we'll
University and Professor of Practice. He is also a former senior defense intelligence official. Thank you so much, Mark, for taking the time, as always, to be here with us.
You're welcome, Josh. Good morning, and thanks for having me today.
Good morning. Well, first off, want to talk about the space compound situation. Israel putting out that message and those photos a very short time ago. What is the significance of that strike, as well as the one that they conducted at the end of last week? Talking, of course, about a strike on Iran's space compounds.
Well, Josh, I think that's very significant. A couple of things. So Israel addressed the fact that, they were going after the space aspects of that, where Iran was trying to develop a space threat, kind of an anti-satellite threat. They had a very fledgling space capability. They put a beeping satellite up that lasted just a short time in that. But the true nature behind that, and I think something that shouldn't be buried kind of with this, is the fact that that space program, to the rockets that they would use to launch for the space program, actually furthered their development of intercontinental ballistic missiles. So they had a parallel development running. And so if they were successful in developing their space program, the same technology going in to launch a missile into space, a rocket into space, they could then apply to their intercontinental ballistic missiles, which brings the United States into threat. And then we can go back and look at their nuclear weapons development program, and you combine those, and then that's a significant threat. So yes, it takes out the space concerns that Iran might have in their development, but for me, the bigger concern would be the technology used for intercontinental ballistic missile development.
I want to talk.
All right, totally interesting. Now you guys got an idea of what happened there. So listen, we are on overtime right now. We're 12 minutes over. So listen, much love, honor, respect to everybody. I can't do this shit without you guys and without your guys' support. Hit that like button on the way out, as well as double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. Listen, stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding our buddy Chatting with Stacks. He's live right now. Make sure you guys let him know we're coming through with a Mike Ball / Insane Wheels raid. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burns.